Hello everyone, it's Jay here from the Training Court podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast bringing you anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. If you are looking for Pokemon TCG competitive decks ready to go, including GLC decks, please head over to pokedex4u.com. Pokedex4u has a variety of decks ready for sale, with each deck being fully customizable and bespoke to your needs. Use the code Training Court TCG for 5% off your first order. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello everyone and welcome to the Training Court TCG podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast about anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. Jay here, and we are finally back after a 2-month, I'm not going to call it hiatus, I'm going to call it little mini break, vacation. Essentially, we all had real world and real life issues, and we just all struggled to get together.
It's called work.
It's called work and family.
Well, it's called testing, if you Jay.
Yeah.
But we thought, obviously, we know we've had people on Twitter. I'm still going to call it X. I know we've had people on Twitter, message us, and we've had people, in person come and speak to us. Tom, if he's listening, he actually asked me the other day at a challenge, when are you recording again? I was like, yeah, we are. And here we are. So, we're welcome back, and we are joined by a full crew. So it's myself, Jay, we've got Alex, Andy, and Kath. Hello, and welcome back.
Hello.
Evening. Welcome back.
So, to obviously start our tradition, we're going to go, what have we been playing recently? So I'm going to start with alphabetical. So I'm going to go Al.
Okay. So I have been going back and forth between the two Charizard variants over the past, I'd say, month or so. Between the Bibarel, the TM Evolution, which I started playing with as soon as the archetype came out. Then over the course of, say, I don't know, a month, in the different tournaments, I still actually played the TM Evolution. I think I started actually playing the Pidgeot version when that came out, and I didn't do too well with it, and I just kind of put it down. I don't think my list was optimized. Moved to the TM Evolution one, and now I'm back to the Pidgeot version, which is looking like I'm going to be playing at Liverpool in a couple of weeks, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I've just been playing the Pidgeot variant pretty much as always list, pretty much, give or take a couple of cards. I can't go to 6, and I'm not actually tested it, but I just can't think of 6 energies and 1 and 2 super odds. 2 super odds is good, but 6 energies is tight. I know that's what you play, Jay. You've been playing the 6 energies, but I think it's just too. Sometimes you want that extra pivot if you're promoting a Mew at some point. Yeah, it's tight, but yeah, I've been really enjoying the Charizard Pidgeot list. I went back and forth between the interchangeable tool card in terms of Devo or Defiance Band, Choice Belt, Justified Gloves, and I think we're going to go for the TM Devolution, but Choice Belt is also a shout. I don't know for the Giratina, so who knows? But I think TM Devolution is going to be everywhere. So if you can't beat him, join him. That's what I say.
Definitely so. I mean, obviously, we've got a lot to talk about because last time we spoke on the podcast, not in person because we chat all the time, but last time we spoke on the podcast, we were talking about Paradox Rift meta in
Joe,
Japan.
actually. Joe's our last
with
episode,
Joe,
isn't it?
exactly. So now we're fully entrenched in the Paradox Rift format, and we're actually moving towards a Paldean Fates format, which obviously we'll discuss later on. But yeah, no, Zard's a very good choice, and obviously Azul's list, it's a winning list. So if it's not broke, why change it? So moving on then, Andy, what have you been playing?
Played Giratina. I also took Zoroark to a challenge. It was a challenge. Last challenge at Fanboy I went to. And I did all right, to be honest. I think you were there then.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't play against you though.
No. I think I got it was 2-2-1, I think it was, if I can remember rightly. Top 16 anyway. Just
out of 16.
No, it was out of 20.
17.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah, it's good.
It's interesting with the student Zoroark because again, I think there was actually some people playing it and that I think that's piqued your interest. I think there was one on stream for Sacramento, if I remember correctly, and I know that there was also one played at Stuttgart as well. So the one in Sacramento got 55th place, which is pretty good considering there was over 1,400 players. And then the list in Stuttgart by Hedi Brahmi, that got 71st out of 745 players. So and it's I think it's an archetype that you always like. So but then Tina is a good choice as well. Again, we'll probably discuss it, but realistically, Tina at the present time when you're listening is best deck in the format, in this current format. So it's definitely a good choice.
It's swings and roundabouts. It's one's good one week and then another deck's good the next week, isn't it? It's like,
I think Tina's matchups are so favourable, though. I think said this the other day. I think Tina, the Tina's worst matchup and enemy is itself.
Tina.
Exactly. The bricking. So, but, okay, we're moving on. Kath, what have you been playing?
I have been testing a new Mew build that I'm probably going to take to Liverpool, just because I know what I'm doing and I'm kind of comfortable with it, because I don't have a great deal of time now to figure the strategy for something else. But I'm confident. I'm confident playing it.
A last hurrah before it rotates.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we'll touch on obviously the kind of build that you're playing later on in the episode, but you'll be very proud of me. I actually played Mew to the latest Fanboy Challenge, which was only a couple of days ago, and I missed out on points. So I missed out on top 8 by resistance. I came 10th out of 26 people, I think it was, which was good considering I never played the deck properly, really. It was my first time in the tournament.
The DT version or the...
Yeah, so I played, it was a hybrid version, to be fair. It's, no, it was Ian Robb's list from the last regional in America, Portland, where he got top 8. So basically it's a DTE build, but given the amount of Spiritomb knocking around in a lot of lists, it plays 2 Fusion Strike Energy and it plays Lesser Sparkle. So I mean, I never came across any Spiritomb, but it was there just in case, because it does help massively. But yeah, no, it was interesting. I came from, I'd actually lost 2 on the bounce, so I then kind of came back for 3-2 from 0-2. So I was pretty happy with my performance. And the annoying thing is actually that my first 2 losses were to non-meta decks. I'd actually beat the meta decks. So I lost to Regidrago V. He basically path-locked me turn 1, and I just couldn't draw any out, and I kind of didn't have a
Was that David by any chance?
Of course it was David. Of course it was David. He got 7th, so it did him well. So yeah, so that game 1, and then we played because he finished in 10 minutes. We had 20 minutes left. I was like, let's play another game. I just set up perfectly, and absolutely, I path-locked him. And it was great. So the next game was a very, very weird game. It was against a single prize deck running the Zatu engine from Paradox Rift, and it was also running, is it a Spathra? It's an interesting one that I don't know if you guys seen it. I should obviously know about it, but I've not really seen much of it. But it's basically it's a stage 1 Pokemon, single prizer, but it's got an ability called Stance that when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may prevent all damage from and effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon until the end of the opponent's next turn. So basically, I was Mew, but firstly, I bricks as well. So I started Genesect, and then I just passed, and I passed twice before getting anything going. And then he put a Spathra down, and basically I had to use Max Miracle with Power Tablets to take knockout. But you've only got 4 Power Tablets. I wasn't running Silene. Basically, I decked myself out trying for the win. Otherwise, it would have been a tie, and I potentially could have actually got points if I'd taken the tie. But hey ho! And then the next matchups were I played Hisuian Electrode, so the Cloth Hisuian Electrode deck, which is a bit of an annoying deck going around the meta at the moment, but it is there. And I played a really good play actually. The only reason I won was because I'd actually attached to the Mew VMAX 2 Fusion Strike Energy. So when he used Brute Bonnet and poisoned,
doesn't
he
work.
tried to poison me and himself. He then obviously Spicy Curry. He was playing the is it Parasect as well? Parasect with the sleep, wind up arm, and also Brute Bonnet. He was hitting 300. So his whole plan was, I'm taking that out.
310.
Luckily, I played that quite well. And then I played Tina doing Tina things. The poor guy didn't get a single chorus off in the game, and I just drew hot.
Oh, that's rough.
It is very rough. And I just drew hot. I bossed up. I looked and I was like, the only way I win this game is if I have boss. I had 1 power tablet in hand. I needed another power tablet and I needed choice belt, and I drew into all 3 of them for the win. So when the deck works, it's phenomenal. And then
it works so often as well, to be fair, because it's so consistent. Probably the most consistent deck.
I wouldn't know. It is difficult as well. Like it does brick. Like I was saying, but then every deck in this format.
Breaks.
Yeah, and then I played Dengo. And then I played Dengo. Yeah, I played Dengo, Gold Dengo, and basically they steamed ahead. They were able, and basically they tried to take the knockout, and they were 1 card short. So they hit the Mew for 300, and they were 1 energy short. And they were like, well, at least they thought they can get the knockout next turn. But then I put Path down. They'd used all the resources to get the 300 hit. And then I passed them, and then I used a Psychic Leap to get that Mew back into my card. So I felt really bad. It is what it is. It's what the deck you play with. But they were literally living off top deck. And because even when they got Iono, they only had 2 rises left. They weren't really doing much as well. So when they Iono'd, so yeah, it was good. Mew was good, but that's me done with Mew now, retiring it. And then I've just been testing a lot of other decks. I've been playing a lot of Lost Box. I've been playing a lot of Dengo. The new Dengo build, which we'll talk about later, is really good. And just a lot of Zard. A lot of Zard.
A lot of Zard. Well, I guess if you're playing it, it's the one that you need to test.
Exactly.
Speaking of Mew, actually, I forgot to say that when I was back in Manchester and I went to the challenge that I was at with you, Dicko, I played against a player playing Mew when I was playing Charizard, and I was winning quite easily. And then suddenly it brought out a Dreepy, and I was like, "What's this?" And I had to read the card, and it's basically Mawile, except it does 10 damage.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm not prepared for this," and I could have won actually because he was about to deck out, and I freed up a space on his bench, and he had Pidgeot V. So I didn't. Yeah, I'd never. Yeah, didn't realize, but yeah, Mew pulling out all the kind of spicy cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving on then to the next section. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of obviously a lot of news, a lot of things happened. We're obviously going to talk about the meta. I think we're going to talk about the Paradox meta, the Paradox Rift meta shift. But then also there's been new sets, obviously Paldea and Fates. That is coming out the next week by the time this recording comes out. So that's coming next week. It's basically a hidden shiny Fates, shiny Fates. Kind of
the last
Crown Zenith, yeah. So it's a holiday set, a lot of reprints, but there is some big new cards coming out in it. I think the big one really that we discussed a long time ago, it feels like, is Moonlit Hill. So that is finally coming. That's a gym promo from Japan that's now finally coming to the West. So that's going to be really interesting. The next set, our next major set, has been confirmed as well. So the next major set, Temporal Forces, is coming in April. Which is a mix of the Wild Force and Cyber Judge set. That looks like it's going to be very, very, very interesting. Really, really looking forward to that set. There's
new archetypes and there's new mechanics and
yeah. There's obviously the DLC, the second DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet released, which then means that we now get those Pokemon obviously based. We get a lot of them based on that. So we're getting quite a lot of new Pokemon such as Walking Wake, Iron Leaves, Raging Bolt, all those really good cards. And
do you think it's going to be more
the DLC yet?
No, I haven't either.
It's good. It's good. It's really, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. It's okay. it's okay.
Do you think the
So
the
he
new?
really enjoyed it, and it's okay.
I really enjoyed it. It's okay. It's just I still think it's not as good as Sword and Shield. And then I think the performance really just hampers that, to be honest. But
Mm.
it is
Anyway.
what it is. But then
It is what it
I think the
is.
big thing we need to talk about the next set is and something we did discuss last time we were on the podcast is the return of A-Spec. So A-Spec's coming back, and it's coming out in Temporal Forces. So Temporal Forces over 160 cards, 6 A-Spec trainer cards, and 1 A-Spec special energy. So realistically 7 A-Spec cards, 13 new
I
Pokemon.
didn't think they'd announced so many all at once. I thought they'd do maybe 3 this in Temporal Forces.
Well, they have trickled it over the course of a few weeks. We've got what, 4 A-Spec cards?
No, he means over in one set. So many
In one set.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I wonder if that means is A-Spec just going to be in? Is it just going to be in Temporal Forces and that's them done? That's them. Or are they going to do a new one every set, or add a couple new every set? That's going to be
I reckon they'll
overpowered.
They will bring out new ones, I reckon, because
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Radiant Pokemon, they just,
Unless it's like Lost Zone where it's just one set and done.
true.
Yeah,
Hard to
very
say,
true.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
The cards are so powerful. It's like if they do loads more, then you're gonna have a problem with what you're gonna
Yeah, but you
want
can
to
only
put in your
choose
deck.
one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can only
Yeah.
choose one, so it balances out if you have more. The more there are, the more balanced it is.
I think they're gonna have to see how it affects the game.
Yeah.
And then see if they're gonna make any more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like you said, it's a lot. I mean, the ones that have been announced so far are there's Neo Upper Energy. So that is basically as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy, and as long as this card is attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon, this card provides every type of energy, but provides only 2 energy at a time. That's pretty good. But I'm not sure if it's going to get much play. Hero's Cape is a trainer tool, an A-Spec trainer tool. The Pokemon this card attached to gets a plus 100 HP. That's pretty chunky.
Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty chunky. It's Cape with no drawback, so it's a Hero's Cape, not the what luxurious.
Literally no
cape.
drawbacks. You can't. You put it on any Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Master Ball, which I think it's just literally go in and get any Pokemon you want.
Yeah.
And then the main one, which is going to be a one of in pretty much every single deck, is Prime Catcher. So it's an item. So it's switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. If you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. I mean, that on an item, it's Guzma basically from Sun and Moon format. That on an item where you can then still draw, you can disrupt, you can basically Iono.
Get it off Arven.
You can get it off Arven. You can Prime Catcher then Iono. The amount of disruption that's going to cause, it's going to be mental. I don't see anyone not running that at all. So I think there's a couple more.
You've got the ancient and future ones. Do you have those up? I've got them up at the moment. If you want.
No, I've not got them. No, I've not got them up now.
So you've got the ancient A-Spec, which is draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So kind of like,
yeah,
that's the Drum of Awakening. It's kind of like a one-of Genesect. So you can get 6 cards for drawing a card. Well, no, actually no, because it's not up to the amount of Pokemon you have in play. It's just draw 6 cards basically if you have 6 ancient Pokemon. So yeah, decent. I think you probably still run Counter Catcher maybe. Then you have the Reboot Bot, which is the future one. For each of your future Pokemon played, choose 1 basic energy from your discard pile, attach it to that Pokemon. That will be played in future decks over all. I think over any others that.
Do you really think that'll be over Prime Catcher?
Yeah. Choose 1 basic energy from your discard and attach it to that Pokemon for each of your future Pokemon in play.
It's good. It's good.
You can.
I still think Prime Catcher's prime.
But you can discard 6 energies, and then you can attach 6 energies to your Pokemon any way you want. Plus you have the Miraidon that does 40, and then accelerate 2. You can get Iron Hands up in easily with an Arven if you've discarded your energy. It's I think it's the most powerful card outside of Prime Catcher, I think.
Yeah. I think there's one more, isn't there, that's to be released, and I think it's going around on Twitter that it's potentially a choice belt for EX Pokemon. I think we're not sure if that's legit or real, but obviously we're still waiting to hear back from that one. But that again is just, it's going to be okay, isn't it? I don't think it's going to be life changing. Again, Prime Catcher is Prime. Prime Catcher is Prime.
Sure, it's Prime. Yeah.
So then also kind of linking in with the release of Temporal Forces, Pokemon Company have confirmed that rotation is coming. It's on the horizon, and we're not having to wait that long. As in line with last year's rotation, all cards with the regulation mark E will rotate out of the standard format on the 5th of April 2024, which is the exact same date that EUIC starts as well. So it seems to
get your testing in as a new card. Get printing out your proxies.
Yeah,
needs to be a lot of testing coming out as well.
Do you know? I was thinking. I'm not as like, oh my god, all these cards are going. As much as I was with the last rotation. I know there was a lot more rotated last time.
You don't play Guardy, that's why.
Well,
Shiny
or Mew, yeah.
Oh, Mew, yeah.
Poor Kath's got no deck now.
Well, yeah.
Kath just turned up with an empty box.
Stones.
Yeah.
That's it.
So with rotation, it basically means we lose cards from battle styles all the way to fusion strike. So I think the big list of, the biggest ones really is obviously Path to the Peaks, the big one really. Escape Rope is going. Shining Arcana Gardevoir. Dynamotor Flaffy's going. Battle VIP Pass is going. Good riddance.
Level
and Mew and Mew VMAX, etc. So
we've got a lot. We've got a lot to replace VIP Pass now, haven't we?
Yeah. So they've also announced for the next, haven't they? Is it the Boffins?
Yeah.
Boffins, which is basically.
Which game were they in? You had to make the. You had to mix the.
That was Sword and Shield, wasn't it? No, it must have been Scarlet and Violet.
No, it's not Scarlet and Violet.
It's on the DS, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's saying
Mystery Dungeon.
Mystery Dungeon. On Google, it's saying Boffin's a platform game in the 1985s.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think I'm looking at the wrong one.
No, you had to feed the puffins to do the show, like the talent show.
Yeah. Diamond and Pearl, maybe.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah, it was Diamond and Pearl. Yeah, it was Diamond and Pearl. Yeah, and then also it's on Pokemon Go. I think that's probably the most where we know it, because we use the Poffins to. Yeah. Anyway, so but Poffins are coming back. Well, coming into the TCG. It's basically VIP Pass, but for basics for 70 HP and under. I think, in my opinion, that's what Battle VIP Pass should have been.
Yeah, because you can get it on any turn as well.
And also it helps you if you get VIP Pass at the moment, using it for Ultra Ball fodder, using it for Lost Zone fodder, or if you're whereas this one can still be used. So definitely looking forward to that one. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to rotation. I know
decks like Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant and these basic V decks or the basic EX decks are going to struggle, I think, without a VIP.
Yeah.
Well, it can go in.
No, I was about to say Miraidon.
I was going to say Miraidon definitely doesn't. Sorry, Kath.
It can go in Clefairy.
It can go in Clefairy. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely right. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of kind of information overload. Obviously, we don't want to just start listing every single new card coming out. There's a lot we'll obviously catch up in the coming months, because we've got 3 months now before, 2 months before the set's released, and 3 months, just under 3 months before it becomes legal. So there'll be lots of, there's still more leaks coming through. We're seeing secret art rares. We're seeing new cards. It's a very exciting time to be a Pokemon TCG player, and expensive time.
I'm looking forward to that Gengar though. If it's real.
It looks like it's going. Yeah, it's going around. There's obviously Gengar EX coming in Temporal Forces, and there's a really cool secret art rare that the card deserves, I think. I mean, one thing I'm definitely, we spoke pre-Paradox Rift. Paradox Rift is out now. I've managed to get a couple of really cool cards. Like I've got the Iron Valiant EX secret art rare, and considering how like cheap it is, I'd say it's still cheap. It's 40 quid, £45. It's one of the nicest artworks I've seen on a card in a long time. It's absolutely stunning, and I think the artwork's getting better for the sets, and even the basic Pokemon like obviously Morpeko with Energizer Wheel from Paradox Rift is getting played in a lot of Roaring Moon decks. That artwork is awesome, and it's like a £5 to £6 card. I think there's a Brute Bonnet the same. You know, I just think the artwork's just getting better and better, and luckily I think the big one for me is that the prices are a lot more. They're just fairer, I think, than Sword and Shield.
Yeah, they
Sword
are.
and Shield was ridiculous. I mean, you still look now, still some of the prices now. You know, Moonbreon, we'll call it. Moonbreon is still what £450,
Yeah.
something like that. Giratina V, the alt art's about £200. The Lugia V has come down substantially from 200 to 100. It's still a £100 card, but that's purely because Pokemon messed up a batch of Silver Tempest, where they had a batch of Silver Tempest where there was a full art or above in every single pack in a certain product. So the market got flooded with Lugias.
Still, even the Gengar VMAX alt art, that's still expensive.
Yeah. And obviously with fusions, with a lot of these sets now rotating out, they're more difficult to get. You know, I think the prices are going to go up, especially, you know, Fusion Strike's a big one.
Yeah, some of the rarer ones, yeah.
Definitely. I'm just happy I've got my master set of Fusion Strike still. It's my retirement fund. So then moving on then from the news, there's probably lots we've missed, but we'll obviously catch up over the upcoming weeks. We thought we'd discuss the latest regional because there's been quite a few. I mean, if we look back at the list that we've missed, I think
one this weekend as well, Charlotte, isn't it? This weekend.
Yeah,
that's
Charlotte.
right. So it's Charlotte this weekend. So by the time you're listening to this, it's tomorrow in America. And then next week we've got Liverpool. And then there's also a special event in Gdansk very shortly. There's lots, and the season's really heating up. And I think last time we spoke, it was just before LAIC. So LAIC was 1,200 players, over 1,200 players. It was taken down by a Finnish player called Juho Kalama, who were playing Miraidon. I don't know if you guys remember that Miraidon Entei Valiant in the final. Really cool back and forth final. Again, Entei Valiant's a deck that I played a lot because I thought this is the one to unlock the meta for Liverpool. I was very wrong. Then there was.
It's amazing how the meta has evolved from Miraidon to now that Miraidon actually is not a good play.
I think it will still be a good play, you know.
It's still a really consistent deck, isn't it?
So I think the difference between Juho's list that won LAIC and the list that are playing now is that it's almost it's the Peony build, yeah. So all of a sudden Miraidon's gone even more turbo somehow. Miraidon's gone even more turbo somehow, and obviously double Peony is now being played. I don't know if it's double or four. I'm not 100% sure. I don't play the deck, but basically you're playing two. You want to get through the bottom of your deck really as quick as possible. You're basically you're squawking, and you turn one, so you play two squawk, you play two Mew EX, so when you've got an empty hand, you basically restart. And also you're using Peony to discard your hand and then pick out two item cards. So a lot of people can basically pick out two what they called electric generators. Or they can basically get out a generator and a bravery charm, which just is basically a bit chunky. So yeah, it's Turbo Don is the thing. So then there was the regional in Gdansk, which was won by Lucas. That saw the rise of a deck that no one likes, and if you like playing this deck, you just don't like fun. You're a bad person. You don't like fun. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that, so I apologize. And I know that Matty, who's been on the podcast before, he played at the challenge the other day in Fanboy. But basically, Snorlax Stall. That one. It was. It's basically as it is. It's a stall deck, which is just disgusting. Exactly. It's horrendous.
I actually played against the stall deck on the ladder today, and I didn't realize it was a stall deck until like halfway through the game when he conceded, because he started with a Luxray, and I was like, okay, it's Mew. Then he put a Rotom down, and I was like, okay. Then he just had those two cards down for ages, and I was like, What is
Yeah,
this deck?
it's basically it's another stall deck. So it is a Snorlax stall deck, but it's the Pidgeotto version. So sorry, not Pidgeotto, Pidgeot EX version.
Pidgeot,
So it uses Luxray to discard things from your hand, and then it uses Pidgeot EX to then basically pick what they want, the items they want, and just start disrupting. Misfortune Sisters, Sydney gets played a lot. Erica's Invitation, it's just horrendous. Not looking forward to it. We then had to finish off the European regionals, the regional in Stuttgart, which was won by Christian Fontenot. So that was Sablezard. So Sablezard took the win there, which was a really good match. Recommend you go back and watch that. Really enjoyable match. But again, a nice win for Sablezard, and a nice win for a Lost Box deck. We then move over to America, where you're at San Antonio, which was won by Azul GG. So Azul took it down, and the numbers, and this is ridiculous, 1,985 masters. I think that's phenomenal, isn't it? Absolutely phenomenal. It's just getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, Azul won it with Charizard EX. All of a sudden, it became the best deck in format. The final was against Grant Hayes playing Tina. Really good match. Recommend you watch it. Basically, Grant to take the regional just needed top deck. I think it was it Tina V-Star? I think it was V-Star for the win, and he whiffed it. He just whiffed it, and he did every digging and everything. He just whiffed it. It was so unlucky. And then Azul also then top deck boss. So Azul won, and all of a sudden, like, you know, Azul's list was everywhere. You went on the ladder, everyone was playing Zard, and it was Azul's list, and it was an interesting list really, because he kind of, you know, Zard's been played quite, you know, a lot with Pidgeot EX, and then the introduction of Rotom V was added, and you're like, holy crap, that's really good. But then Azul was the first person to drop down to 7 energies. I think they used to play 8 energies, and also play Justified Gloves for the mirror. So all of a sudden, everyone started jumping on that. And it was a really good deck, and that's what I played basically consistently, and it was very good. But all of a sudden, Charizard had a big target on its back because it was known as the best deck in format, and basically I think that was the start of the rise of more Tina, because Tina has a very favorable matchup into. I still think it's 50-50, but Tina,
to be honest, I do
better
as well. I've played a few Charizards, and it is still 50-50, I think.
I think it's maybe 60.
It's slightly favourable for Tina.
It's slightly favourable for Tina, because all they need to do is basically, you know, near enough 2 attacks, and they can pretty much.
Yeah, they just 2-shot with your Cram and the Lost Impact, then they 1-shot with that, and then it's and then they just boss up whatever Lumineon.
Yeah, exactly. So moving away then from the regionals, we also had a Champions League in Kyoto, which 2,800 players, best of 1 in Japan. That was won by a Lost Box deck. So again, another kind of change in the format that we've not really spoken about, and maybe I'm going to say the 2 people who really brought it into prominence was Tord Reklev and Brennan Cameron. They both basically played variations of Lost Box with 2 prize attackers. So I remember when Tord basically first played it, might have been at Stuttgart or Gdansk, I'm not 100% sure. He was playing with Iron Hands, he was playing Moon, I think he played Palkia as well, and Kyogre. I know for a fact that when he went to Stuttgart, he changed the Palkia out to Tina. You know, it was won in Champions League by a Lost Box deck running Roaring Moon, Iron Hands, and a Raikou and a Kyogre. So
we've seen 2nd and 3rd as well. Roaring Moon in 2nd and Goldingo in 3rd.
Exactly. So so Roaring Moon, again, another cool archetype that was brought over from Japan, where obviously Roaring Moon is one of those decks where I felt it was always lacking something. I've still not tried this deck because I've been focusing mainly on Zard, but I've played a lot against it. And this not winning list, the finalist list was using a 1/1 of a Darkrai V and V-Star, which is basically using it for Star Abyss, which is you just during your turn, it's a V-Star power. During your turn, you may put up to 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand. So it's great for cross switches. Cross receivers were used, which is quite interesting. Which is a cross receiver is put a Pokemon or a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. You know, all of a sudden you're getting Dark Patches back, you're getting Earthen Vessels back, you're getting cross switches back. it's just, you know, and it ran really well. I still think it's a bit short.
3 Roaring Moon as
But
well.
Roaring Moon was a very
Here's the thing about Roaring Moon and Goldengo coming second and third. In Japan they play best of one, and I think some decks just lend themselves better to being best of one, and I think Roaring Moon is one of them because it just goes fast. It sets up fast. It takes big knockouts quickly, and sometimes decks just can't. If a deck bricks, then it just can't handle it, and it does it consistently. So I think that's why you do see a lot of Roaring Moons at locals, and you see people posting their challenge. I won with Roaring Moon. Everyone thinks it's the best deck ever, but actually, it's just because it's good in best of one. But that's why it never does well in like in the West. It doesn't. It's not a best of 3 deck. I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. But it obviously saw a lot of play, and people still people are gravitating to Roaring Moon. I mean, Roaring Moon's just, you know, frenzy gouging for knockout. You know,
It's a fantastic card. I'm not sure
It
about the deck, but the card is in Lost Box or even in Tina. A lot of people are putting it in Giratina at the moment to have basically a second star Requiem, and yeah, I think it's a fantastic. It's got amazing stats, but maybe it's a deck needs something.
definitely so. But then you obviously mentioned the Goldengo deck as well, and
Yeah.
that's a deck I was very hyped about before the pre Rift, and came out and I played it, and I thought it was okay, but it struggled a lot. It struggled a lot against, you know, things like Path to the Peak, etc. It really struggled. But then there was a list, obviously, that did very well in Japan that played it with like a water package. So it played obviously the Ninja for discard of energy, and it played it with a 1/1 of Palkia V and V Star, and all of a sudden people are like, wait a minute, actually, Irida,
Yeah.
Irida gets that.
Moonlight
Yeah, I
Shuriken.
feel like some of the cards that have been most hyped and then drop off and then come back, I think once people are over the initial, like, here's a rough 60, let's play it.
Yeah.
It's okay, let's leave it. And then someone will
make it good.
Will keep going with it and find.
Exactly, yeah. Someone's always going to find a way, but you know, and I never would have thought Palkia V and V Star in Goldengo, and then but it makes so much sense. And then you Irida, you know, you Irida as well, and Irida's like a supporter that you think, well, it was good in Palkia, it was good in, you know, Chen Pao, and you think, oh, but then all of a sudden, like you said, it can get your battle VIP past turn 2. If you are obviously going second, it can get you cross switcher. You're playing Pokestops, you're playing loads of items. It's just a really good package, and it's going to see. I genuinely think there'll be a fair few Dengos running around.
I think so too. I think the reason why Palkia does work so well in Goldengo is because when Goldengos were first being built, they had psychic energy. It doesn't care if it has different kinds of energy because it can use all of them for its attack. It only needs 1 mental energy to attack as well. So you can kind of pair it with any energy type that has some kind of synergy. And it does, because obviously Palkia uses the energy in the discard pile. But I think that was one of the weaknesses of the deck when it first came out, is that it didn't have that, you know, cross switcher, Greninja, canceling cologne play that Chen Pao had, and now it has that. But I still think that it struggles to chain attacks like the Raichu V and Miraidon. So it struggles to chain attacks as easily as Chen Pao does.
I think you can get one attack off, but then you've used a lot of resources to get that one big attack off. It's quite difficult to get the remaining amount of resources in that. But yeah, no, I mean, it was, again, the Japanese lists are absolutely wild. I think there was also in top 8 an Arceus running of Zeraora, VMAX and V-Star, and it makes sense, but you just don't see that really. You know, occasionally you'll see a random thing in America or Europe, but realistically, you know, it's very unlikely. Or saying that, they're moving over to our next one, which was only not last week, the week before. It was the regional in Portland. Again, just too shy of 1,500 players in a regional. It's just, they're getting bigger and bigger over in the States and in Europe as well. So hoping we can obviously see that in continual growth. But in the top 6, Makani Tran actually made 6 basically with an arc pile running Gigas. Zacian V as well, which is really good because I mean, I never even thought about putting Zacian V.
Zacian Z.
It's the next type. I've leaked
Vation Z.
But you never even think really Zacian V. But then it's like Roar of the Moon. You guarantee like Arceus decks struggle if they don't get they get that energy attachment. Zacian guarantees that, in turn one.
What's Roar of the Moon?
Roar of the Sword, I said.
Roar of the Moon.
Roar of the Moon.
Roaring Moon. Roar of the Moon.
Roaring Moon. Yeah, exactly. But overall, the tournament was won by John Eng. So John's obviously a very, very good player, and he was a very, very good senior. And he's always he's consistently made top 8s, but he's never actually won a tournament in Masters. And now he's finally won one, and he won it with Giratina V-Star. So yeah, Giratina was kind of the top dog really at Portland. I think that's mainly again to deal with the amount of Zard, given how many Zards that we expected because of Azul. Azul has such an influence on the meta. It's actually quite scary how much of an influence he has.
Yeah.
But
he's probably one of the best in the United. Best in the world, to be fair.
Especially at the moment, he's on a ridiculous run. At the moment,
he always is though.
That's
last season he had a crazy amount of points.
If you look at his last 5 tournament places. So in Worlds in 23, he came 4th. In Sacramento in October 23, he came 7th. In Toronto in October, he came 3rd. December, San Antonio, he won it. And then Portland, he got 7th. That's top 8 for the last 5 tournaments. Fresno, he got 33rd, and he didn't want to talk about that one. He wasn't too keen on that one. Still got points, though. That's mental. He still gets points consistently. And then, he got 4th in Milwaukee in June. He's just so consistent, isn't he? Consistent, Mr. Consistent. But he actually was playing Zard again. And again, the whole meta has shifted to his deck. So you mentioned it before, Al. Moving to. So basically, what he did was he added a switch option, which he didn't have in his winning list from San Antonio. He put a switch option in there. He also followed a lot of the Champions League results and decks, because a lot of the Japanese players were playing TM Devo for the Zard matchup, so that is now in there. And then got rid of Justified Gloves for that, and then also reduced his energy count. He went from 7 energy and 1 super rod to 6 and 2, and it's very, very tight if you ask me. But yeah, he just he got such you play every deck now, and everyone's copying Azul's list. Even when you speak to people, you're like, if you want to play Zard, just copy Azul's list. That's no better place to start, because
it's like when people were playing Guardi, you just say, oh, we'll just copy Tord's list.
Tord's list, good, Tord Guardi, exactly. But I mean, kind of moving swiftly on then to what we expect the expected meta to be in say Charlotte and also Liverpool, given the fact that that's the one we're prepping for at the moment. Do you see with the rise? So Snorlax store was quite high in the previous tournaments in Europe and also in USA, but with the rise of Tina's its worst matchup. Do you reckon that Snorlax store will kind of drop off, and do you reckon still Tina's going to be the lion's share of the?
I'd rather face 9 Tinas than 9 Snorlax stalls any day of the week. Any day, any deck. I don't care if my deck is built to beat Snorlax. I'd rather just play Tina.
Yeah, it's not fun, is it? I don't.
But yeah, I really hope that Snorlax does drop off, and probably because Tina does have a good matchup against it will. But seeing I'm playing Charizard, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not playing any techs for Snorlax. Not playing Minio. I'm playing the Switch, but I'm not playing any other. I'm not playing Toro. So I think that but the thing is that I think it will change slightly. I think Miraidon might go up because Miraidon has a decent matchup against Tina. But then that means that Charizard will have a good go at Miraidon. So it's tough. It's tough to say. We'll have to wait to see what happens in Charlotte before we predict Liverpool. But yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. I think there will be an increase of Giratina, but I think the lion's share will be Giratina, Miraidon, and then Charizard, and then you'll have like Mew in the back burner.
Here's the thing about Giratina is that a lot of people will be playing it because it's the best deck in format, but it's one of the hardest decks to play. It's kind of like with Lost Boxes. It's one of the lowest the lowest converting decks because it's so hard to play. So many people play it, and so few people actually do well with it because they just pick it up and are like, oh wait, hold on a minute, I need to actually make choices with these comfy selections, flower selecting. So yeah, I think a lot of people will play the Tina, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll all do well. And of course, even if you are the best Tina player in the world, sometimes the Tina just doesn't work.
Yeah, there'll be more Miraidon players converting to day 2 than Tina players.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I think if you, again, all we can do really is look back at Portland, and Portland had the best conversion rate for Tina going in. I mean, if you look at the day 2 analysis of Portland, 21.85% of the decks were Tina. 16.56 were Zard, 9.93 were Guardy, which maybe see a resurgence in Guardy given that it kind of took a bit of a back step when Iron Hands, because Iron Hands just basically, absolutely feasted on it. Mew VMAX had 9.27% of the day 2 share. Lost Box in general, not including Tina, had 8.61, and then Roaring Moon was the big surprise for me, had 6.62% of the meta for day 2. So the Moon, I think, is slowly getting there. I know, I think it's being used a lot in other decks, which is good, but it's slowly getting used. But it's definitely going to be interesting. But
Are you seeing the conversion, the actual conversion rate? In because the Tina V Star is actually 20 point. You said it was what, 25% of the meta share or 21% of the meta share. It converted at 20%, and Snorlax Stall was 19%, which is really scary. People look at Snorlax like, you know what, that converts really well. Might just bring it. So
you're just basically like a Death Eater from Harry Potter if you play that.
I know.
It's literally devoid of any.
But you know what? And then just to go against Dicko, just flat out opposite. Miraidon actually only converted at 6%. So actually, it seems like from the data from Portland, look, it does look like Giratina V-Star does convert wildly more successfully than Miraidon. Maybe that was just because there was a lot of Charizards. Who knows?
There's also a big shift in terms of Miraidon again, like we said, obviously in relation to the list that a lot of people played at the Peony list. I think if you look at again Portland again, Nicholas Moffat got 5th place with Miraidon. He kind of went kind of like a more traditional build, so lent a bit more into Path to the Peak, which had fallen away from Miraidon. So he played a 2-2 of 2 Path to the Peak, 2 Beach Court. Also had Iono Judge as well, 2-2 split there. So again, more disruption. So it's kind of about Spiritomb in the list as well, a bit more disruption than normal. Then I think the big one, which is the Zard matchup, which it has a horrendous time into, sees the introduction of Tapu Koko EX, which is obviously a Vengeful Shock. So for 2 energy, 30 plus, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, does 90 more damage. But the main thing is your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. You just paralyze, and that's why I think we saw a lot more switches put into Zard decks. I mean, I kind of wanted to put a switch because I felt that no switch. I just didn't like the fact that there was no switch in there.
I always had at least an escape rope or a switch, really.
Yeah, I think the switch is, in my opinion, the safer bet because sometimes, if they can
hit the active.
You want to hit the active, you want to smack into what you're hitting. I do see sometimes the benefit of an escape rope, and I wish for it, but a lot of time they'll just probably give you like a Manaphy or something, so or a Jirachi. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So I think we'll kind of close this segment off with, what do you guys think? What deck is going to win Charlotte this weekend?
Giratina.
Okay, Cass for Tina. Andy?
I'm gonna say I'm going to go with some form of Rory Moon.
So Lost Box Rory Moon, you think?
Yeah, possibly.
Something with Rory Moon in.
It's either that or Miraidon.
So you go. Which one are you going for though?
I'll go Miraidon.
Right.
Okay.
That went from something with Rory Moon into Miraidon very quickly. Okay, Al, what are you going to say?
I kind of fancy Mew, to be honest, but I think it's probably going to be Giratina, but I think Mew could have a win.
Okay, and
I think it's Giratina then.
I'm going to say Guardy. Guardy's going to have its time back again. We'll see.
It's also
people are going to play it for like one last time with Shining Arcana.
Yeah, and that's why I thought about Mew as well, to be fair. So, yeah, I thought, Mew. I did have a feeling with Mew at the start, but Alex said I'll go something different. I'll go for the psychic deck. So, right, okay. Well, I think that wraps it up for this week. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening, and it's good to be back. And apologies for missing the past 2 months, but like I said, we'll try and get an episode out as regular as possible. But if you do want to listen to us, the best place to catch us is on Podbean, so the trainingcourt.podbean.com, or alternatively, you can listen to us on Spotify or Apple iTunes podcast. Again, just type in the Training Court TCG. Whilst you're there, please give us a like and subscribe and a review if possible. And you can also catch all our back catalogue on those platforms. If you want to keep in touch with us on Twitter, the best contact is at Training Court. We also have an Instagram account, which is at Training Court TCG. I just want to thank you guys for listening again, and thank Andy, Kath, and Al for joining me. And we'll see you hopefully next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.